Hi guys, and welcome to episode 27 of me painting. Now, it's been over a year since I last did one of these videos, and it's until April of this year. It was actually over a year since I did any painting at all. Now this, as of now, which is the 6th, 7th, it's the 7th of May, this is my most recent painting. This is number 42. Great intro so far, isn't it? This is number 42. I'm going to put a picture up there of number 41 as well, so you can see the kind of style that I'm starting to... I've been painting for 7 years now. I think I'm finally starting to sort of get a kind of unique style, and this is fairly representative of this style. Now the painting we're going to be doing today is going to be half this size, because I have these canvases here which are a quarter. If you look there, you see it's a quarter of the size. See that? There. So I'm going to be attaching these two canvases together like that, which is going to be the same size as that number 41 that I showed a second ago. And so of course we're going to start this video by making that canvas. So I'm going to move this away so that we don't get paint on it. And we're going to... And this here is... this is what I use when I'm painting on paper. I attach it to this board, but I'm kind of using it as an easel for the moment. So let's line these up. I've got a staple gun here. You've seen this before when I made my own canvas. I think that was episode 18. I made my own canvas and I used this. And here I'm using it again. Not making my own canvas this time, just, you know, doing this. There's quite a few of these staples here that aren't actually in very well. There we are. This is a little hammer, little cow hammer. I also brought this in case I need to remove any, but I don't think I do today. So that's that. But of course, it's and there's a bunch of like dirt here and stuff. I could use a broom actually, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to use some of this masking tape to connect the two to remove the seam basically from the middle. Just do that there. There we are. So this here, this is the kind of canvas, this is the surface that that number 40, whatever it was, number 41 was painted on. You can see that there. I can move the camera. Bloody toes. Can move the camera slightly now that we're doing that. I don't know if I'm going to do that idea I did in the previous one of these where I put like the split screen over there, because this one's kind of upright anyway, you can kind of already see it. so I'm not sure I'm going to do that. I might... oh, whatever. Yeah. I think this is fine. So, I'm going to start by applying some paint to this. And also, if you want to see me talk about that number 41 that I showed earlier, check out the April 2025 monthly update. You see me talk about that painting. So there. Not the big one that I had here, but the one, number 41. This, I mentioned in that live stream, is the piece of paper that I use when I'm cleaning my brush. And this will later become a piece of collage, not on this, although I am going to use collage on this to better hide this seam, but not yet. So basically we're going to start by reusing some paint that was left over from number 42. It's pink, and so we are going to not get started yet because I need to get my water. Okay, I've got my water, now we can start. Move this for now. No need to get paint on it unnecessarily. So this painting, as do pretty much all of them in the kind of style that I've just recently started developing, take several days to paint. So this video is going to be not several days long, but I'm going to be recording this over several days, and I'm going to edit them together. Whereas what I used to do is, if a painting took multiple days and I was filming myself, I'd upload each video as a separate thing, but I'm going to edit them together because I want to see you see the full development of this painting in one video. I also usually tie my hair back as well, but I haven't really been able to be bothered recently. So. Basically just getting the paint on, and obviously all of this underlayer is not going to be visible in the finished painting, so we're really basically just using up paint at the moment, and that's really the only purpose this serves. So just covering up the white, that's what we're doing here. There we are. And these paintings, as I'm sure you saw before, they're very sort of thick, and they don't really, they're not very smooth, so any bits they get, and believe me, there's going to be a lot of bits in this painting by the time we're finished. None of that really matters. So now what I'm going to do is put these bits of collage on it. So these are bits of tissue paper that I've just I've used to mop up paint. And as you can see, and it's not going to be, I'm painting it this way just because it's the only way to fit there. It's going to be a vertical painting, you know, a bloody, whatever it's called, portrait. Took a while to get there, didn't it? So what I'm going to do is get this paint here and use it just as a kind of glue, basically. So that there, line it up as close as I can get it to the edge and just kind of do that. And this is basically just to help disguise that edge. It won't be perfect, but by the time we've added all the different layers that are going to be on this, it will be perfect. Or pretty much, anyway. And anyone who knows about it will be the 12 people who'll watch this video. So there. And then just, you know, like that. First bit, and of course very little of this information is going to be visible, but it will be visible, just, you know, slightly. And so now I'm going to add this bit here. And recently I've been very inspired. I talked about this in the monthly update as well, in the April 2025 monthly update. At least colour-wise, not necessarily subject-wise. I farted then as well, I don't know if you heard that. Colour-wise, I've been very much inspired by Francis Bacon. Now, of course, this isn't very Francis Bacon, this sort of pink thing, but although he did do some brighter coloured paintings, particularly in the 70s, because the 70s was an unusually happy period in his life. He didn't have many happy periods, as I'm sure anyone who studied his paintings could probably have figured out. But anyway, and so the sort of darkness that you saw in those two paintings that I showed earlier, the one that I had here, number 42, and the number 41 that I just showed you a picture of, I'm more repeating that to myself just to remind me to edit that in when we get to that point. Were very sort of dark paintings with very dark colour schemes, which were very much Bacon-esque. There we are. So that is that. So now we are going to start the painting sort of techniques that I particularly enjoy. and that is the drips. Now this new style, new in great large quotation marks, this new style I've developed, use drips quite a lot. I'm not done, so I've just changed my mind, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to work on this while it's flat for just a little bit longer. But don't you worry, we will get to the drips today. Although for you it's going to be today anyway. Now this paint here, ew, that's very unpleasant looking in there. Ooh, that's very nasty. Yes. I think if I use this has kind of got its end jammed up with paint actually at the moment, which is kind of antithetical to what I need. Let's see. Might be able to suck up some of this horribleness here. Just put that there, it doesn't matter. Ugh. It's like honey, it's kind of like a sick, disgusting ooze. Ooh, how almightily revolting. Right. Now, of course, no two paintings are ever identical, particularly with me. I struggle to make paintings identical on purpose, let alone, you know, when I'm trying to make it different. But yeah, so those previous two paintings I didn't start exactly like this, because I could not make, you know, do that on purpose. So this, what you're seeing here, is a lot more Jackson Pollock. Not that, oh for God's sake. Not that there wasn't Pollock inspiration in those previous two, there most certainly was. But, I'm starting to wish I did tie my hair back, but too late now. Yeah. Yeah. That's that. Yes, that's particularly nasty. I mean, if you could see that, it's more brown. The stuff that I ended up sort of sucking out of that actually is kind of black, but that what you see there is brown, and it's sort of revolting actually. Like, if I sort of get that, you might be able to see that sort of brown. Very unpleasant. Really ought to kind of mix that up. Yeah. Much better. Yeah, so again, more Pollockness sort of going on here. Yeah. Wipe off the excess there and there as well. Leave that there to dry. Okay. What was I doing? Ah yes, doing that, which now again it seems kind of pointless because I've put the stuff on, but whatever. Basically, just trying to build up layers here, like I am doing. So yeah. Get some of this and then thicken it up. I will use a cup to, no, not that one, this one, because this is one I've already been using. Yes, that's that. And now let's do that. Now, something that I have been doing with these last few paintings is adding a material to the paint to sort of thicken it. Now this is quite thick anyway, but it can always get thicker. And something that I've been adding very recently, as you can see here, is ash. Now this is ash from a fireplace, so bits of burnt wood and sort of nails and things. And basically I just get a little cup like this, scoop up an amount of the ash and just basically just dump it in to the pan, and anything that goes in it, any bits of charcoal, any bits of nails or anything like that that ends in there gets mixed in, and it basically just thickens the paint up, gives it a very interesting texture, and yeah, that's basically it. I'm going to wash these paintbrushes as well while I'm at it, because I'm going to be using these quite a bit in the painting. So yeah, that's that. And any excess paint I try to wipe off on that, because that just put black paint on my face, which can get you cancelled these days, so I should wipe that off as quick as possible. There, so I've got this now very thick grey, very dark grey paint, which I'm now going to apply to the canvas for a laugh. Now, yeah, what I'm going to use this sort of brush here, just for fun, and do that. As you can see, it goes on very nicely, and yeah, not really doing anything intelligent with it, just getting it on as thick as possible so that it, particularly to disguise the collage more than anything else. Now, of course, that does mean it'll take longer to dry, but this is acrylic, so that doesn't really matter as much as it could if it were another type of paint. There we are. Cover that up, that'll come in very useful for several paintings actually. There's enough paint there to do a few. This, I'm now going to finish off this sort of white, very light beige that you saw on the number 42. I use various things in my paintings, and one of them is antibacterial cleanser. I don't know if it acts any differently to water. I should probably just use water, but then I'm a bit weird. I use bleach and isopropyl alcohol as well, occasionally. So I'm going to add some of that to there. And then mix it all together very nicely. But of course now that's very thin and I want it to be thicker, so what am I going to do? I'm going to break out the ash again. Get some of it and just dump it in there and see how it mixes. A bit more. Of course it's turned a kind of grey now, but that's fine, because this doesn't need to look pretty. These are just the lower layers, so the lower layers don't actually need to look good. In fact, with the lower layers it's best that they don't look good, because you're going to be covering them up and you don't want to cover up stuff that looks good. So if anything, what you want to do is you want to make the lower layers look as ugly and sort of yuck as possible, because that that makes it easier to paint over them. So I'm going to get some of this grey now and sort of slop it down all over. There we are. Look, it's kind of a very similar, if you have cats, you'll recognise this texture. They leave it on the carpets a lot of the time if they've had a bit too much to eat. And so what I am doing, I keep saying what you are doing as if it's a tutorial. You can of course follow my advice and use this as a tutorial if you want to, but it's more just a kind of record of how I paint and what I paint. So yeah. There we are. Okay, so this is the kind of base layer. Now I could let this dry, but I want to paint for a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to move it vertically. So I'm going to place this guy here, who is essentially my this is what I paint on. I told you that earlier. This is what I paint on when I am using paper, because it, I don't want the paper to. It makes the paper keep its shape, basically. So yeah, I'll angle it slightly so that you can see it better. That should be a bit, yeah, that's a bit better for you. Now, drippage is going to happen. I'm going to get fresh water first. Okay. So, what colour goes well? And as much scraping goes into these painting, you know, so as much removal of paint happens as adding paint. Oh, you know, maybe not as much, because if as much removal happened as adding paint, there'd be no paint left on the canvas by the end, would there? So the maths doesn't quite work out there. So quite a lot, maybe 50, no, because again, maybe 25% of the overall painting is removing. Not yet though, because I wait until it's dried to then begin scraping paint off. So, I'm going to make a colour, so it needs to stand out from that. So I'm thinking a green, or a kind of bluey green. So, of course, I start with a blue. I have quite a lot of this kind of blue, so I'm going to add quite a generous dollop of that. And of course it doesn't matter that you're using a lot, because I'm unlikely to use up all of this paint on this painting. And so, you know, there's also this kind of very sort of dark, sort of metallic blue, so I'm going to, there's very little of that left, so I think I'm just going to dump it all in. Well, I could probably still squeeze some more out of that in the future. I'm very good at doing that. And then I think some green to that. Quite a lot of this green dye that my mum was using. This is a sort of tie dye. This is light green. So I'm going to add a fairly generous dollop of that. I don't know if you saw that, but a big clump of paint rolled down there, and a lot of that happens during these kinds of paintings. You get a lot of stuff just dragging itself down the canvas and creating these lines, and I like drips. So, you know, that's all good. That's all good. Now, this that I've kind of got here is, it's kind of the perfect consistency already, but there's not actually that much of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thin it out using this antibacterial cleanser. Again, I could probably just use water, but I like being different. So that's that. So that's that, but now of course it's too thin, so now I need to thicken it again. So once again, I'm going to use my old friend Ash from the Fireplace as opposed to Ash from the Pokemon. So I'm going to need quite a bit, I think, so I'm going to get quite a bit. Still not quite enough. I think that was actually a bit too much, but it doesn't matter, because gravity will do its thing. So now I'm going to pour it and allow gravity to do its thing. Now, as you can see, that's very, very thick. like I said before, it wasn't actually originally meant to be quite that thick, but it works. Sort of. I kind of got some on that, which I didn't really want to do, but luckily I can use the scraper to sort of help move it forward a little bit. And also quite a bit of scraping sometimes goes on as well. Not always, but sometimes. You know, like that. And yeah, just sort of guiding it, you know, guiding it. A lot of that. Oh. A lot of that happens. You get a lot of these stuff just sort of stuck at the bottom. And but you can see here, you can see it dripping. Now obviously this is very ugly. And it's going to take quite a while for it to get better again, but by the time you get to those upper layers, there's going to be all this texture there now, which obviously wasn't there before. Now a lot of this is going to be scraped away, particularly these very, very thick areas are going to be scraped away. But even when you scrape it away, they leave a sort of record of themselves behind, so it's not entirely wasted paint. It's quite a lot of wasted paint, but not nearly as much as, you know, some paintings use. Even some paintings of my own. I'll just kind of smush it in just to try and make the most of it. You know, kind of acts like cement. I suppose in a way it kind of is cement, isn't it? Because cement is kind of ash powder, at least, that you then add a liquid to, so it kind of does act like cement. I doubt you could use it to build buildings, but you could try, I suppose. So that's that. I think maybe add one more colour, this one a brighter one. So let's add some white paint, which I keep in this. It makes some very nice sounds as well. What would be good? Let's continue in the sort of green motif, I think. And a hint of yellow. It's kind of created, oh, it's literally created my favourite colour. That's a shame, because that's going to be... So now this is a much thinner kind of drip, and so you'll see how this interacts with the thicker elements that we've already put on there. Where am I going to start? Well, I'll start here and see how we go. It's kind of annoying that that's how it is. Although, to be honest, I probably don't even need this here for this bit, but I'll have it anyway. I'll just put it that way instead. That's better, I think. Because now I can actually like touch the top like that. So you see that? That's good. That's very good. And of course just get all the excess out. Some of it gets on your hands, but that's just one of the risks that you have to take as an artist. Now I know what all the abstract art, like, you know, all the modern art haters are going to say about this. They're going to say, oh, you're just chucking paint around meaninglessly. And yeah, yes I am, but I guarantee I enjoy my life a lot more than you do. So there. But of course this video isn't really for them, it's for us art genii, which is the plural of genius. Ain't that good? So yeah, now we're going to let this dry. So you are going to see me again in just a few seconds, but I'm going to see you again in maybe not 24 hours, but certainly tomorrow, once this is fully dried. Because it's acrylic, and because it's very watered down, it will dry very quickly. And so, in less than 24 hours, it will be rock solid, and we can do some scraping and more addition as well. These last couple of paintings have each taken usually like 3 days, like 3 sessions of painting. I don't know how long this one's going to take. A lot of the time I'll come down here just to have a look at it and end up adding to it. So I'll try not to do that because obviously I want to get it all done on camera. But yeah, this is part 1 of... Presumably this painting is going to be called number 43, but of course you looking at the title of the video, you'll know what this painting is called. It's probably number 43. Because these days I've kind of given up titling a painting unless the title immediately jumps out at me, like the title's obvious. If I have to go searching for a title, which I normally do, and I used to do, and I'd go like flicking through books and dictionaries and picking random words as the title. But people tend to like read meaning into it, which isn't there, which really annoys me. I prefer for them to just look at the painting. And so these days I only ever title a painting if the title immediately jumps out at me. So this is probably going to be number 43, so we'll see. I put money on it being number 43. So we have got a bunch of sort of slop down here, which I don't really want drying in that sort of position. So I'm going to get a can and sort of scoop all that rubbish into a can and dispose of it. Which is why I carry this scraper. I used to use this on the actual paintings, now I usually just use this in the sort of surrounding activities to painting. I very rarely use it actually painting. I will sometimes use it to help drip paint onto the painting, because I can sort of drip the paint in, I suppose, a wider aspect ratio, I suppose. But yeah. Very rarely do I actually use it to apply paint. Sometimes, but very rarely. Mostly it's just for disposing of rubbish like this, isn't it? There we are. Let's get rid of that. So yeah. Obviously there's still some there, but that'll dry a lot quicker, and it'll also peel off of it as well. Because this is a silicone, that, so it'll peel, the paint will peel off very nice, and I can use that as more collage as well, which is very nice. So yeah, I think this is a very good start. We've got a lot of texture, some of which will remain to the final painting, and a lot of which will be scraped off. We got some good contrast, which is always good. You want the base to have, you might not want the base to have, whatever you want. I want the base of this painting to have some contrast, because then we can reduce the contrast later and then add new contrast. Like I said, very little of this is going to be seen in the final painting, but some of it will. I'm going to do a lot more drips, a lot more removal of drips, just a lot more stuff in general, really. But yeah, I'm going to show you here what I was talking about before. So I kind of scoop up the liquid and then drip it again like that. So that's what I was getting lost you. This is what I was talking about, that kind of doing that. I don't actually like the change that I made then, but it doesn't matter because, like I said, very little of this is actually going to be seen. So yeah, that is that. I like these very watery drips, like you can see this is a very nice one going down there. I like these very watery drips. I also like the thicker drips that we're going to be getting later. But yeah, that is that. I will see you tomorrow. I was planning on adding a transition there, but then as I was doing it I thought of a better one. I'll see you, this is the better transition. I'll see you tomorrow. That was clever, wasn't it? Anyway, hello back. Hello back to day 2. It is not exactly 24 hours later, it's slightly less. But nevertheless, here we are. I'm going to start, you know people say they put blood, sweat and tears into their paintings. Well, I'm not going to do the second 2, but I can do the first because I just cut my ankle open. I don't know if you can see that there. I'll zoom in on it digitally. That's blood because my toenail of the other foot collided with this foot, and so I'm going to take a bit of that blood there. Don't know if you can see that blood, and put it there. So now I've literally put blood on this painting. That's going to put some people off, but I don't care. So, yeah. Anyway, so it's pretty much dry now, not totally, there's still a bit of smush in this paint, but it's dry enough that we can now start scraping. Now, also, this painting looks white, all that white, that looks white on camera, but it's actually green. But I tried to fiddle around with the settings and I couldn't make it look any different, so sorry about that, but believe me, it's green. It's just a very light green. Basically, I'm just going to scrape a lot of this off. So yeah. And I need to make sure that it has, you know, give, so that I don't just push all this stuff over, so. Actually, I'm gonna turn this around, do it kind of like that, because I think that's better, because never mind, apparently it's not. Pardon me, Monsieur Brave. Ah, yeah, now I can't do much of that there because that's tissue paper, and so I can really only sort of tease that off. I can't scrape that off as violently as I'd like to. But still, I can somewhat smooth it out. That I can get off violently. Try not to cover it, you know, I don't want you to miss anything. I'm going to use this brush just to get off all of that. There we are. I try not to use this, so far I've managed to avoid using this brush for actual painting, so it's still very loose. Luckily so far I haven't had to actually do any paintings that are big enough to require that brush, because it's the biggest brush I own in terms of, you know, bristle span. It's not the longest brush I own, but, you know. Yeah, and I'm going to get a little bit of this just to dry any possible wetness that might be on there. It's a bit like playing the trombone, this. So then we have that. I want to get rid of all that rubbish. There. Then. So this is what we've got so far of this painting, number 43. Oh, for God's sake. Get lost. Thank you. Okay. This is what we've got. I think very little. Now as you can see, also all that scraping has actually done very little to like the colour of it, aside from adding more grey around here. But it has of course made it much flatter, which is what I want, because it then makes it much easier for more layers of paint to go over it. So before we do any more drips, and we are going to do more drips, although when I drip it I'm going to turn it that way around, but until that point I'm going to do some more brush work. Not with that, because that's dark. Not that I'm racist, I don't have anything against dark stuff. But I want orange. Not orange, just something brighter. Perhaps orange, but the thing is, I have a bad relationship with orange. It always tends to disappoint me. Created here a kind of salmon. A kind of salmon. Salmon pink. Excess on that, wipe off the excess. XS doesn't stand for anything, by the way. It's not a symbolism. XS merely stands for paint that you don't want. Although the phrase paint that I don't want is kind of a, you know, a nonsense sentence. So I'm going to apply some of this salmon here. Making sure it doesn't just, you know, I've explained it to you clever people, you understand. That's exactly what I didn't want to happen. So, I was trying to talk during these videos because it's more about what I'm doing, you know. As I'm sure you've noticed, I'm doing. Now, what exactly I'm doing, I'm not so certain about. Just improvisation. Abstract oxex. There's probably videos of it somewhere, but I'm not going to look at one. Expressionism. Good. Okay. I think we're starting to get somewhere now. I think we're starting. Yeah, we're different. Yeah, we're starting to get somewhere now. Not that we want to fly, of course, but I'm not saying that's somewhere. Right. Red always goes down well. In my opinion. Although maybe we should put some black back on, some darker stuff back on top of this. Let's scoop out some of the bits out of this first, like that. Don't forget what to do in scraping of paint. What's weak here that needs reinforcing? I think I'm going to turn the canvas first, because I believe this is the direction it's going to be when it's finished, because I wanted this kind of shape there, because of that side. So obviously these kind of paintings usually flip over, but not horizontally, because I just prefer vertical. I prefer portrait to landscape, I just do, so. We use this just to, you know, accent parts of the black. I mean, that might not even be able to... Oh yeah, you can, because of course you've got the glare from that, so it's actually, that's even more accented for you than it is for me. So I don't want to overdo this. I want to keep this subtle. Or as subtle as an abstract painting can be, you know. Even that's a bit too much in the script. Scrape it off. Oh, no. And that shows you why I wait for it to dry before scraping the material off, because when it's wet you really can't scrape it off. You just smear it instead. But yeah, that's that. Wet this, get some drips going. Now this, conveniently, this antibacterial cleanser that you saw me using before, of course it's in a spray bottle, which means I can do that. Of course it has bubbles in it because it's kind of soup, you know, but the bubbles don't dry, you know, in it. That's good. I mean, I love stuff like that. I mean, again, a lot of it's going to be covered up, but it doesn't really matter. And of course, drips, because it's a vertical painting, the drips reinforce the verticalness and help to break up this sort of block. That block I kind of want there, but that block was very so horizontal stuff to break it up. And of course to break up, because there's the horizontal line going across the middle of the canvas from where I attached, because if you remember, these are two canvases attached together, and so they've got a horizontal seam across the middle, and these vertical lines help to maybe not distract from it, if, as a matter of fact, if they were going that way, they'd distract from it better, but, you know, they help take your mind off it. Or not, I don't care. Now some thicker drips. I am thinking, believe it or not, I'm thinking blue, but a kind of very pale, a very pale blue. Now luckily I've already got a can here which kind of invites a pale blue, because it's got a lot of white and a lot of blue in there, and none of them are wet, so I can't use them. But you want a can, whenever I'm mixing a new colour of pen, I always try to use a can which has that colour, because of course reintroducing water to this pen can reawaken it, and I don't want, you know, like if I'm making a red, I wouldn't want to do it in a green thing, because then some of the green would get into the red and it'd grey in it. But seeing as I'm making a light blue, using a light blue can is the sensible thing to do. Now, this is where I keep my white pen, but there's very little left in it, so what I'm doing, put a bit of water in there. And do that. That's that. It kind of looks like milk, but you won't want to drink it. Well, you might. I wouldn't want to drink it, personally. Speaking purely personally, I don't want to drink that. See if we've got any blue here. There's a tiny minuscule bit of blue in that. Let's see how that mixes. I mean, it is like stirring milk. So yeah, that's not immensely fantastic. But it is noticeably blue. I'd like more, if that is possible. Probably a little blue. Blue is a colour I use. You know, it is a colour that I use. So there ain't much of it. This is cobalt blue, apparently. Add a generous dollop of that. And again, you don't necessarily have to use all of this pen in this painting. So, I mean, I might, but I don't have to. That's more, but I want more. Got blue here. good, I think. And it's very liquidy. I'd like to thicken it up. Now I'm going to try to be very careful and not use too much ash, because a certain amount is acceptable, but then too much is too far and there's no way to undo the damage. It's like alchemy or something. I'm making gold. White's blue. I can't tell you. No. Still not too much. Still not enough. Yeah, that's enough, I think. Come on. Okay, that can go back there. Well, there's lots of bits in there that I don't actually want in there. So I'm gonna fish them out and dump them somewhere. There we are. Now we're gonna do some powering. Maybe zoom in a little bit so you can see it a bit better. I mean, I didn't do that before, so I don't know why I do it now, but I just did, so that's what you can do about it. Now, that's what. I want to make sure you can see it as well. That's, I'm not going to say more important than me being able to see it, but quite important. There's even a few nails in there as well to use later, that's always nice. This is good here. We can do a bit more spray. Pardon. I don't know if you remember what I said last time about using this scraper as a scooper, but in case you forgot, this is what I was talking about. Recycling it, you know, bringing it from the bottom to the top. Of course, the top goes down to the bottom. So now I'm gonna add something thicker on top of that. From that, well, maybe, yeah, no, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, still at least one more day to go yet before it's finished, so there's plenty of advancement that can be made. I'm gonna get a different can. This here's a clean can. It ain't ever been used before. It had new potatoes and water, and it cost 75 pence. But now, to me, it is worth much more because I am an artist, and artists are better than normal people. There we are. I'm going to mix a sort of brown, a brown colour. Let's say so. Normally when I want a brown, this is nearly brown. It's a kind of metallic brown. Good old dollop and a half. Dollop and a half of that. Or I should say a good old dollop and a half. Some more white. Gonna have to refill this. Luckily, we have this. So what I'm gonna do and what you're gonna see is how I go about refilling my white paint. So I get that, I'll pop that in it like that. I get my white. My white pan, and I pour it. You can't even see that. pour it into that. Quicker, I reckon, if I just use this to do it. I'm gonna have to get some new white paint relatively soon. There we are. And this from yesterday, it's finished drying. Or it was finished drying before I got it wet again, but anyway. So that's that. I've got the pen in there. I'm going to close the lid on it. I'm going to give it just a bit of a mix. And then I'm going to add that to it. Where is my mix? There it is. Good. It's not exactly a brown, it's kind of another kind of salmon colour. Darker, of course, but certainly not as brown as I was hoping. Now let's see, why did I put an S on the end of it? I don't know. Can I add to that to make it more brown? Perhaps some of gold, because gold makes a good beige. Beige is more yellow than red. Most people would say so anyway. That didn't really do anything to help. Red. I was going to add red anyway. So, no, why am I going to add red? It's too red already. What am I? It's too red already. Your boy's a genius. What am I add? I know what I'll add. Never mind being an imbecile. I'll add green, because it's too red, so adding green will bring it back to neutral. That's maths. Quick maths at that. Well, come on then, come out, you thing. Didn't really neutralise, it just sort of made it green. Problem is I don't really have any just sort of brown. That'd solve this problem if I just had some brown, but I must have used it all up. Oh no, I do. Burnt umber. Add some of this to it. Goodness sake, come on. Couple of plops of that. And see how that does us. It did us something. More plops. These. Not too much, I mean I don't want to waste it, but you know, an amount that's going to make some kind of impact. Better gonna back it before I throw it. That's that. I'm gonna water it down a tad. I'm going to add a bit of black. Now I need to be very, very careful here, because too much of this and there's no going back. Too much and there's no going back. Don't want to go any more than that. Just to differentiate it from that pink as much as possible, you know. Bit more water. some more of my good old friend Ash. You hear that bolt? Okay, so not all of that, definitely. I was sure that was going to be too much, but Ash knows best. Yes, that's it. Just needed a tad more. And I'm going to add some friends to that. I've been collecting for a few paintings now. Nails. So that's, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 nails. They're going in. And we'll see. Am I going to turn it? I don't know. No. Some of that blue will survive. Some of the blue will survive. Quite a few of those nails didn't want to actually end up going in. Which is a bit annoying, but some of them have taken. A couple of the nails have taken, and that's good. I like it when they take. I like that. Some of these go back in there as well, because they deserve their best chance. Well, that blue made it in there as well, which, you know, it's fine. You as well, with you. bit. Let's have. That was too much, but hey. That's freedom, man. The freedom to do too much. I'm gonna add a bit of you. I added too much of you, but hey. Freedom, man. I mean, it's experimentation, you know, and that's what matters most in this game. It's experimenting. New nails are going to stay put. Right? You hear this, nails? On yet stay. Stay. And you too. Stay. Please. Thank you. All the like clumps can fall off if they want to, but the nails need to stay. These nails don't want to stay, man. What's your problem, nails? I want you to stay where you are. Don't you understand? I want you to remain in the paint. If I reduce the angle a tad, they might feel more obliged to stay where they are. I want more sort of, not blackness there has been de-enforced, so I want to re-enforce it, you know what I mean? I'm not using that. I'm using this stick, because this is an unusual thing to use as a painting input. I normally just use it for mixing the paint. I wanted it to go there, really. It's like a magic wand. have to make sure it doesn't outweigh it too much. We do a bit of tab there as well. This is going well. I think it's gone well. How long have I been going today? There's 2 batch points left, which means we've been going maybe 50 minutes. An hour. No. Yeah, just 1 hour. 1 hour and 40 something scones. How's that looking on the camera? Still can't really see the bright colours, they just all kind of look kind of white. I'm not quite finished yet, although I could. I mean, I have been going for an hour and usually these sessions last for an hour. But I want to do a bit more. Not much, not anything major, because what we've got here is quite good. Need to let this dry, of course, but something down there, perhaps, to weigh it down a little bit. Something that's going to contrast with that. Now, I had this other colour down here earlier, which I used to make that brown, but I'd like it in its more pure form as well. Those flip that way. I mean, I can't use the same stick. I suppose there's no reason I can't use the same stick again. Oh, it's unhappy, isn't it? It's unhappy with that other paint. It doesn't stay where I put it. Don't want to overdo it, of course. That should do. Just away from the surface, just so that they don't dry, you know, attached to the canvas, because I don't want those there. The nails falling off, all the nails taken well. This one's making its way down very slowly. Most of the other nails seem to have taken pretty well. Again, I'm going to move it to a slightly less steep angle, just to so they feel less of an inclination, less of a reason to continue downwards. So I think, again, for today, that's pretty good. So I'm going to let that dry for another 24-ish hours. And then tomorrow, I'm going to come back. Based on how long these usually take, I'm probably going to finish it tomorrow, but you never know. This might be a 4-day painting or a 5-day painting or a week-long painting, you never know. But 3 days like the last two that I've done in this kind of style, not that they look anything like this, but it is not finished yet. I'm planning on filling this out with a lot more flat shapes like I did with number 42. But yeah, 3 days has been the average for the last few paintings, so I think we're going to be finishing this tomorrow, but you know, who knows? Who knows? I mean, these paints up here, particularly that grey paint that I mixed a lot of the ash into, that's already starting to dry, at least on the surface. And then when it does dry, it is going to be kind of rock solid. Some of this I'm going to be scraping off, as I did before, and some of it I'm going to be keeping. I'm going to try and keep as many of the nails as possible. Some of them are probably still going to have to go, but they'll be reused on future paintings like a lot of these will. Have been, I meant to say, but whatever. But yeah, this one is the most at risk of going, so I'm actually going to remove this and insert it. Insert it somewhere. Into the whatever it's called, the bloody kitchen roll, so that it's slightly more firmly embedded into the painting. There. So yeah, that. Just looking at more of these just to see if any of them are at risk of being removed when I scrape. As long as I'm careful with my scraping, I shouldn't remove too many of the nails. But as always, we'll see. I'm going to be trying to be less forceful with my scraping tomorrow. Just removing some of the very big chunks, but leaving a lot of the paint still on the actual thing, you know. But as always, time will tell, as it always does. So yes. Ding dong merrily on I'll see you tomorrow. Hello again and welcome to day 3. So here we are. Still a bit damp, but dry enough for our purposes. So I definitely don't think we're going to finish it today, so I think maybe tomorrow. Because there's no sort of structure here for me to then sort of work in. Maybe we'll see. But I'm going to start by removing a lot of these big bits. Ugh. Like that. Just removing these very large chunks, you know. Try to keep the nails, because I like the nails, and I don't want to lose them. Oh look. if I have to, obviously. I will. Nails there again. Put them over here. Save them for later. Okay, I think I'm just gonna. Nail there. Oh. That's literally every single nail that I put on there now off, but maybe this isn't a nail. I think I was a bit too keen to put the nails on there too early. So being sort of gentle in my scrapes in this area, because I want to keep that brown. If I scrape too hard, it'll all come straight off. But down here, being quite violent with the scrape. And same over here. Yeah, and then. Dear, I got some paint. I didn't want that. I never want any paint on this brush. Just And there we are. So now, yeah, we can start trying to make some kind of structure out of the colours that are there and kind of just sort of solidify it a little bit. So obviously there's going to be a lot of brown there, pink. Let's get started because I don't have any of that pink, so I need to mix myself some new pink. That's step one. I can't remember what I used for that. What did I use for that? Can't remember. But it was this orange I used? I think it was, wasn't it? I used this orange and then whitened it down. Or something like that, anyway. Yeah, that was it. This brush is very quickly becoming one of my favourites. This one, it's slightly stiffer than some other brushes. So there's this kind of triangle of pink there. So I'm gonna sort of reinforce that a little bit. And then another kind of triangular thing going on, sort of there, like that. Okay. Maybe I will finish it today, I'm not sure. But probably not. We'll find out though. We'll find out. Now the brown. And again, I'm gonna need to mix another brown. I'll get a. The thing is, I've got this here, and I know it was based on that. how did I do it? I added a lot of brown to it, I know that. I added some of the ash to it. Now, I've meant to do this before recording. I can just quickly run up there and check though. And if there is, I'm going to bring back some more ash. You'll see. There wasn't much, but I got some more. Not the right colour. How do I need to add a bit of white to it? Or maybe even a bit of this pink to it. That seems like that might help a bit. That did it. Good enough for me anyway. Right. It's not identical, but it's good enough. So it's kind of just like a block, really, isn't it? Pardon me. Another can is needed, not that one. That'll do. Some grey. Now this grey paint, this is Vallejo Premium Colour Airbrush Acrylic. This is very potent. You add this to any pen and it will turn it grey. Like, and it doesn't matter how much of another colour you add to this, it stays this colour. So you need to be very careful with this. Or I need to be very careful with this, I should say, because if it gets into any other, I don't know why it comes out at an angle like that. But if it gets into any other colour, it will, you know, sort of taint it. Now luckily it's already grey, so I don't have to worry about altering its colour all that much. Right. How do you think the guys have? Good, innit? Right, so now I think some more expressionistic stuff. Black is always good. It's a bit thick, gonna water it down. Let's use something more interesting to water it down, but not. What do I have in here? What have I got in here? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bump you. What's this? Varnish. Artist's matte varnish. Let's add some of this. Open you. What's your problem? Why don't you want to bloody open? Jesus. Oh. Needed to get my mum to hold it while I opened it because it didn't want to. Come on, don't do that again. She said it might smell it. Smells a bit, I suppose. Not too much because I don't want to waste it. Back in there. I'm going to use this stick to do a bit of pollacking. I'm going to pollock onto the canvas, sort of. Maybe even upwards, I don't know. A bit more of an angle, like. bit too thin. I'm not sure that was the best idea. Well, hey. Well, that's going to get painted over anyway. Some of it isn't though. Let's do some Pollock, but Pollock style. So do it downwards onto the canvas this way. See if that helps me in any way. Doesn't need to be there. But I say Pollock, this is nothing like Pollock. His paint's is much more fluid than this, but hey, who cares, am I right? Oh, sorry, I realised you weren't even pointing at the thing. Sorry about that. And you missed all the pouring at the top. I'm a very bad cameraman, I'm sorry. Bloody paint in my hair now. It's bound to happen sooner or later, isn't it, really? Pardon me. Get rid of that, don't want that. Dump it in the black. Very slightly grained it, but that's fine. I'll still find a use for it. See, I don't think it's finished. it doesn't feel finished. I'm not happy enough with it for it to be finished, but at the same time, I can't think of what to add to it, at least not while it's wet. Well, I think I'm gonna leave this to dry, and then probably continue it tomorrow. But yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this for now. So yeah, there we are then. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, I'm back. This is the same day. This is like about 5 minutes after I stopped that one. I've just been looking at it and I'm going to do something which I think I'm just not really satisfied with what's there at the moment. There's not, oh, it's not that, but it's just that there's not really a kind of structure or anything to it. And I started it with that sort of grey there, but I'm gonna, you'll see. I'm just gonna sort of, it keeps doing the exact opposite of what I want it to do. Much better. That is much, much better. Still not finished, don't get me wrong, it's still not finished, but it's much better. Yeah, that's a much bigger, that's a vast improvement on what was there. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that now. So I'm going to let this dry and then we're going to come back tomorrow and finish it. And I have some ideas of what I'm going to do as well, but I'm not going to reveal that here. I'm just going to, you know, let you imagine. Yeah, I'm much happier with that now. Alright. See you tomorrow. Hello and welcome to the fourth and final day of me painting number 43. I pretty much know exactly what I'm going to do. I see no reason to dally-diddle. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to zoom on in just a touch. Which is a bit like a touch, but not exactly the same thing. Alright, I'm going to start by using up the last of this pink on there because I don't like those sort of brown spots where when I'm flipping the brown paint, so I'm going to don't really need the water. I'm not really going to be doing that kind of painting. Okay, so that's step one complete. Now I want to do a kind of purple handprint there, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mix myself a purple. Which of these? This one seems the most logical. I don't know why, just it's the one that's there. I'm going to start with this and then I'm going to darken it. With some of this sort of black stuff. Where's my mixy thing? Oh god, that's not. I didn't actually add all that much to that. I think it should be enough. Some time to get the kind of colour that I want. A bit more red is warranted, I think. I am going to need water. There's a lesson there, children. You're always going to need your water. Probably too much, so I'm going to leave it at there. Leave it at that. I want a kind of maroon, a very, very dark purple. That should do, I think. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some of this onto my hand. I could paint it onto my hand, but I don't think that would be as fun for a video, so I'm going to... Can you still see that? Good. Or the excess can fall onto that piece of paper. Yeah. I like that. I like that. Some of this. I like to say, because it's by no means a bad colour. Now, obviously there's no nails in this because I removed the nails in the early process, so I'm going to stick a couple nails on now. Couple of these. This one I'm going to stick. This one I'm going to press into the pen there, like that. Alright. Then, I'm going to do something very special. I'm going to get this. I'm going to put. Gonna get this can. Gonna put some varnishes in there. Some more of this one that I used yesterday's Winsor & Newton Artist's Matte Varnish. Too much, of course, but neither too little. And then there's another varnish in here that I saw yesterday. This wax finish varnish. Which I think it's slightly covered, I think. I don't know how much of that I want to use. It's very thick. Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know how this is going to dry. Wax finish varnish. Clear, dead flat. Okay. But that's presumably if you paint it on. Do I take this risk? I think I'm gonna. Be ashamed to waste it now that I've poured it all out. gonna add, of course, my special ingredient of, as of late, some of this ash. Some of it to that, which makes it go blue for some reason. Then nails, in they go, mix that all up. I like to get some of the particularly big chunks of charcoal out before I apply this. Okay, here goes Nout. I wasn't originally gonna add any more paint, but seeing the way the use that more. Oh yeah, idiot. areas that I just don't like, you know. That's all nails. You can stay them. If you don't do that for one thing. I don't like all that bits of charcoal all over it. Stop falling, please. I'm asking you nicely. Yeah, get that. Nicely in there. I mean, it's certainly better than it was, but definitely not the best painting I've ever done, I don't think. But who knows? This might be the one to get me famous, who knows? Stop falling, I want you nails in the painting. You get that? Stop falling, please. Where the hell were you if you were there? Less steep incline, so the nails will have less of a reason to move from where they are. Where are they all anyway? So, there. Well, not there. Well, of course I put them all in, didn't I? I put them all in. But you only really see them when you look for them at a distance. Really only like two stand out to me immediately, the rest kind of blend in, which is good. I'm gonna I like pretty much everything there. I'm gonna do some adjustments here, I think. Slightly smoother transition. Okay, that's made an improvement. I think that's made an improvement. Okay, yeah, I think that's done now. Like I said, not my best paint. I think of the three that I've done in this kind of style, I guess you could call it, number 41, number 42 and number 43, I think this is the worst of the three, but, worst is unkind, because this is a good painting. But after number 42, which I think is probably the best painting I've ever done, it's a bit of a letdown after that, but I still think it's a very good painting. So yeah, that is that. I'm glad you've all been able to join me on this journey of this painting over 3 hours. I'm going to edit the video down slightly, but I still think it's probably going to go over 3 hours, or if not, it's going to get very close. You know. I don't, you know. But, ta-da! There we are, number 43, and I hope you've enjoyed watching me paint it. I'll see you next time. Boo!